I'd like to call to order the Monday, April 7th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. We recognize that the Hogan Administrative Center occupies the land of the Ho-Chunk people. Please take a moment to celebrate and honor the ancestral Ho-Chunk land and the sacred lands of all indigenous peoples. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Alberts?
Here.
Mr. Vigneski?
Here.
Ms. Berkedal? Here. Dr. Garcia?
Here.
Dr. Jimenez?
Excused.
Mr. Manka?
Here.
Mr. Newmeister?
Barely. Oh, here.
Dr. Sprague?
Here.
Ms. Sukla?
Here.
Thank you.
A quorum of the Board of Education is present, so the regularly scheduled meeting of April 7th, 2025 is now called to order. We will have a pledge of allegiance. Please stand and face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's agenda has been previously distributed to the board. I would entertain at this time a motion with a second to approve the agenda as submitted, unless there is a motion to amend.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Seconded.
A motion by Mr. Manka, seconded by Dr. Sprague to approve the agenda. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that moves us on to public speakers. Do we have any this evening? We have none, okay. That brings us to the school showcase of the high performance learning.
We're excited to have Lisa Altrider and Carrie Winch-Harden here to present on HPL.
Hello. Wherever that goes. There we go. All right. Good evening. I'm Lisa Altrider. I've been in the district for 25 years now. This is my 25th year. I have been a technology integrator, and now I've spent my 21st year at Emerson in the library. We are going to talk to you tonight about our HPL program and how we incorporate that into the libraries. Carrie and I were fortunate enough to travel to Florida to present this topic, and we have taken that presentation and shortened it for you all this evening.
Well, if you'd have taken us to Florida too.
There we go.
We do want to celebrate that this month is National Library Month, or School Library Month. So for the large majority of you, you have little packets on your desk. That is something that the kids at Hamilton made, along with a little fun things to celebrate this special month with us.
I've already introduced myself, so Carrie.
I'm Carrie. I am the librarian at Hamilton and Soto 1, and I've been in the district on and off since 2014.
So for our HPL program, which stands for High Performance Learners, we take those on in the library and we work with them and we look at different things within the program.
So we work together above our curriculum. The elementary librarians, we all work together and we found those curricular topics that we really wanted to focus on throughout the school year. And everything we do with the HPL program is above and beyond that.
So why and what? We recognize the unique talents of our students within the district. And for our HPL program, we no longer look just at academics. We're looking at other aspects of them also. We're looking at how to identify those students. And these are the domains that we're looking at: creative and productive, leadership, visual performance, and yes, we do still also work with those with general intellect.
So we're going to go right into what we do as librarians and how we work with the kids. And get excited because there is a hands-on opportunity for you in a little bit.
So one of the things we like to do with our high performance readers is we have book clubs with the kids. We have a large selection of books that we can choose from. We work directly with grades 3 through 5. If you're looking at K through 2, then we have Mr. Baraboo behind me, works directly with the classroom teachers and finding activities and different things for those students. So third graders and above, I love Al Capone Does My Shirts. We work with the kids. I've been to Alcatraz, so I have some pictures that I took, and we do a slideshow to introduce them to what it looks like today. We talk about how different it is from when they actually had prisoners on the island. We read the story, they complete an interactive notebook on their iPads, and we discuss things throughout the book. We do that with several different books. Al Capone is just one of them. General intellect, we're also looking at math along with the reading and some different opportunities. I'm going to talk to you today about my cribbage unit that I do with the kids. I've had tons of parents say thank you for teaching my child how to play cribbage. Their children are playing together, they're playing with the parents, and it's a lot of fun. One of the things we do is we talk about 15 and how important that is within cribbage, and they need to come up with a creative way to show me the different combinations of getting to 15. They can choose a slideshow, they can choose a video, they can choose whatever they want to creatively show me 15. So here's one sample. I've also had things like cups and tissue boxes where they show me the different combinations. I've had a t-shirt. One student last year, he loved to sew, so he took some fabric that he had at home and used a sewing machine to create, I don't know if you can see the jack and the 5 over here, and the 9 and the 6, and a jack, a 4, and a 1. I had a student create a train and the coal within the cars. Each coal piece had combinations of 15. And like the cup also. Another project that they do is they choose one of the rules within cribbage and use pages to create a poster to explain that rule. And then we do finally get to the game and play with the cribbage boards.
So creative productive is another part of the standards that we look at. So we do everything from coding to 3D printing. I love Legos with my kids. So one of the lessons that I do a lot is a Lego unit. They create a Lego minifigure. There's building challenges with challenge cards. They have to build a tower in 10 minutes and then build a ladder in 5 minutes to get to the top of that tower. We use iPad apps like Chatterpix. They make a Lego marble maze, stories, and then a reflection with it. And I just did this, and it's amazing what they can do. I'm just outstanded. It's amazing. Leadership Social is another one that we have. There's the Leadership Academy, the Tech Academy, and then we're teaching them about coaching in the government. So here's an example of our Leadership Academy. We talked about what's a leader, creativity in leadership, a leadership mindset, that growth mindset, and then what they see themselves as a leader now and in the future. And then with visual performing arts, we have readers theater, debate, drama, storytelling, all of that kind of fun things that really brings everything alive for those kids, that this is something that they excel in. Here's an example that I do in my classroom is puzzlements. I show them different pictures, and then they have to have that curious culture, and they think and they want to look. So you would see this picture here of what we presume would be an avocado, and we'd have a conversation about what do you notice, what do you wonder, and we just kind of talk about it. And the kids say, I notice that there are geometric patterns. I wonder how those geometric patterns happened. I noticed that it looks like it has an avocado-like shape. I wonder if it is an avocado. Is it not? And then at the end, we click on the bottom link, and it kind of explains the photograph.
We are not able to see every student in grade 3 through 5. We do our best to hit a large portion of the grade levels, but we do have a website, thanks to Mr. Baraboo, that we can direct all students to, and then everyone in the district 3 through 5 is able to participate in any of those things that are listed on that website. If you'd like to explore that more, there is the link within the slideshow that was shared with you.
So HPL is honoring potential in all learners. So we do want to open it up, and we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. So even if they can't participate with us on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, they can participate in district events. For example, Battle the Books, which we just had a competition, and it was a pretty fun afternoon or morning, at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. We have the Academic Biathlon, which we're gonna sample a STEM sprint with that in a little bit. And then we have the Matt Hustle Mile Creative Writing Contest, where in honor of the young man who passed away at the age of 8, students can write a fictional story, a story made up by themselves, and everything is due on April 11th, and it has to be less than 1,000 words, which some kids are struggling with, but it's fun. So, are you ready for an activity? Yes, we are. Okay, so this activity is part of the Academic Biathlon, and the Academic Biathlon is made up of 2 different parts. A STEM sprint, which is a hands-on activity where the kids get to use their ingenuity and just kind of go for it. And then they also have to take a quiz, and this year it's all about architecture. So, we're gonna divide you into 2 teams. You're laughing, but for reals, we're doing this. I'm so excited. Yes. So, dividing into 2 teams. This is called the chain letter. So I'm gonna explain what it is. Now, our kiddos have 15 minutes usually to do this. You have 5, okay? So Lisa is handing out pencils because you will each need your own pencil. So the architectural concept is to deconstruct. It means to take apart or examine something in order to reveal the basis or composition, often with the intention of exposing biases, flaws, or inconsistencies. This is a hands-on problem. You will have 5 minutes to solve this problem. Each team member has an unsharpened pencil. In the box, you will have 20 paper clips all hooked together to form a chain. That chain is placed inside of a small envelope. That small envelope is placed into a larger envelope and then placed inside this pizza box. So, your job is to deconstruct it, which means open it and ultimately take all of the paper clips and separate them. Now, the kiddos have, like I said, 15 minutes usually to do this, and more than one of my teams have done it within 10 minutes. So I have high confidence that you can get a lot done in 5 minutes. These are the rules, okay? Each team member should only have 1 pencil as a tool. The team must deconstruct or separate the items as much as possible. Team members may talk, but they may not give each other their pencils or use any other part of a person. For example, if Lisa and I were on the same team, I can't have my pencil and her pencil in my hand at the same time. Okay? You can only use your pencil to touch the items in the box. If you decide that you want to use your hands or something of that sort, it'll be a minus 10 points. So, there is directions on the back here, so I will have Lisa hand those out. So if we want to just kind of go Dr. Engel on this side and Deb on this side, it may work best to be on the ground, but you can try it at the tables if you like. I usually give my students about 2 minutes to kind of talk and discuss, to kind of figure out what you want to do. But as you're all highly intelligent adults, yeah. We're going to just start a timer. Are you ready? Are you excited? Because I'm excited right now. This is excitement. Okay, are you ready? Timer starts now. Make sure not to touch anything except your pencil. Okay, timer's on. Ooh, this team over here already has their pencil open. Oh, boxes are open. Excellent. If I can give one hint, the more aggressive you are, the better it works. Yeah, don't, yeah, he has his aggressive pencil. There you go. Oh, I like the positive teamwork. Keep your finger on it there, okay? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. This is a science friend. We can do it.
Someone's had a tough day.
This is where the aggression really is good. Just go for it. I don't want to see it. Oh, I like the teamwork over here. Really nice job. Oh, yes. Good job, everyone. There you go. Yeah, just pull. Be aggressive. So this is an example of a step sprint. In our academic biathlon. Yes, so good. 3 minutes remaining. I wish I had a video of the kids doing it, because they're like just stabbing at it. I mean, I saw someone hold their pencil. So it's all different.
And what a map of like how you like it set up, and you can work with the kids around and say like, hey, what, you know, the building engineer. Or at least get us the materials. Yeah, and then we could even set the time, like, maybe, if it wasn't being used.
And I like how you're taking up time.
Okay. So we just.
2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes.
What's in there, there's no meetings from Joe, and then we can get a truck request. We probably work with the building engineer.
We got ours done.
Oh, all 20 are done? Oh, yeah.
Our doctorates they're performing surgery. Our doctors are performing surgery on our side.
Okay, are you all done? Oh, and stop. You're done also?
Just a little late, that's a bummer.
That's amazing. That's so good. Look at that. And you did it
Okay.
with over a minute remaining. So good. Congratulations, here's a pencil. You're the winner. Oh, thank you. Archie will enjoy that. I've sent a lot of people back in. Yeah.
No, you can keep it. Congratulations, there's your prize. You pulled them apart, you get to keep a pencil. I could talk to you all night about the different activities and the different things that we do and the excitement that we see in the kids in each and every unit that we do with them, but our time is precious. Do you have any questions for us?
How many students at each school are in the HBL program? Like roughly, on average?
Let's see, I'm gonna take just I'm gonna take fifth grade, and I would probably say out of our 50 kids in fifth grade, I probably see 40 of them throughout the entire school year with different units that we do. Because the kids change throughout the units that we do, they're not always the same kids that we're working with.
And I think that each school is a little bit different. So how I see my students are gonna be different than Lisa, and how Amanda over at Hinchin are gonna see her students. So you're gonna see a lot of different things. Like for my third graders at Soda 1, I've seen every single one of them. Just because that's how the time has worked, and they have a little bit more flexibility in their schedule. And what I do at my school is gonna be different than what Lisa does at her school. Like, I don't even know how to play cribbage, I'm sad to say. And I just said to her, like, can you teach me how? You know, so we share them as librarians, our different projects and our different teachings, but we don't all do it the same. And that's the benefit too of, right? Like, we're all different people. So we bring our strengths to their strengths. And that's what we're honoring.
Does this happen at other grades other than 3 through 5? High school, middle school?
Middle school, language arts, there's some integration there. When it comes to math, as far as math goes with that, they have their accelerated math classes that
But-
they go into, but
But there's a
not with
difference
the librarian.
between.
Yes.
Right. And then with high school, they can always take those advanced credits within the high school or go on to university while they're still dual enrolled. So that's where the HPL program doesn't come as the librarian portion of it as much. But there's also those HPL, my apologies, I could talk forever. The HPL program where we showcase those district-wide competitions, that's for everyone, right? We don't say, oh, no, you're a senior, you can't participate. We say, you're a senior, let's do this, right? Coding, awesome. Chess, amazing. So,
And we do have Battle of the Books goes 4 through 12.
My second grader at State Road was telling me how excited she is about the Matt Hesselmeyer
Oh,
reading and
good.
writing competition, and so there's a lot of conversation in the grades among that, and I've been pushing on her to continue the Chronicles of Taco Man. I'm really excited about it. And thank you for talking a little bit about how it kind of appears differently at each of the schools. My question initially was, when you're mentioning like you would see 40 out of your 50 students, what are the limitations that you're running up against, and what would you need to make sure that we're able to touch every student with this?
Actually, sometimes it's the students themselves, because in my building, I think in every building, we do this during win time, or the what I need time. Sometimes what the students need is not us. It's more time with their classroom teacher.
Good.
So it's dependent on the students.
Well, that's good. I had another question quick. Yeah, right at the beginning, you mentioned that this is all above the curriculum. Did that mean both that the standards of the activities are at a higher level than would typically be found at that grade level, or that it's just like not topics that are covered within the curriculum, or both?
It's above our library curriculum.
Okay.
As librarians, meeting with the classrooms, we have our own curriculum that we cover, and this HPL portion is above and beyond what we do with our library curriculum.
Great.
I got to experience HPL when I came to La Crosse, and what has been very impressive to me is that it's strength-based, and that any kid can essentially opt in or elect to participate, and so it's available to all students in our school district. And I've also been super impressed by how responsive it is, both what we do with our librarian it's in HPL and also with Archie's work, you know, in crafting kind of unique opportunities for kids. In every place I've been, there have been complaints about gifted and talented, or what we call high performance learning. I've never had a complaint here, not even one arise to any reasonable level. And it's because you and the team is so responsive to kids' needs and providing what they need to push themselves to be successful. And when you think about the range of learners that we have in our district and the volume, that is impressive. And so kudos to all of you for the amazing work you do to meet kids' needs every day.
Thank you.
The program, while I've been involved in the school board, hasn't been as broad, considering the students' talents as it is now, so that's really nice to see.
Yes.
In the past, there was a HPL coordinator, and it was just a certain group of kids, and there was a certain exclusivity of it, which is not what is good in education. And so it's just really nice to see how all kids have an opportunity, and how, as you say, we use our strengths to help the students find their strengths, and that's wonderful to see. And the exercise was really fun, and I hope it wasn't tape recorded, because
It was.
I may have been too close to a microphone.
You did amazing though, like, you did it within 4 minutes, so you should really pat yourselves on the back on that. There's a lot of positive comments, and you really worked well together as a team, so.
Well, we were afraid of death.
And that was Archie that had put that together, and he does a great job of making sure we have everything that we need. We send him an email, and I said, like, hey, I need 6 books for the right 3, and they show up on my desk the next day, and they're ready to rock. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one quick question.
Oh.
How did the presentation of the most Wisconsin card game go in Florida?
It was great. We had people from Minnesota and Wisconsin in our session, so they felt right at home.
Yeah, there was a representative from CISA 11 there, and she actually reached out to us after the presentation and asked us to come to present up there about our program. So we're going to go do that on May 1st.
Awesome.
What are you doing in July?
Oh, yes, Carrie?
In July, I'm going to present at the International Society of Technology Education. So ITSD, it's a national conference about our high-performance learning, or honoring potential and all. So I'm pretty excited. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in my defense, Mr. Newmeyer, they said deconstruct, so I took that.
Vocabulary correctly.
Took that very literally. Okay. So we'll move on to the superintendent's consent agenda. And let me pull up my script of what I'm supposed to say here. The consent agenda is a mechanism used by the board to deal with routine business that must come before the body. Are there any items that members want to remove from the consent agenda?
If it's okay with the board, I'd offer up Ms. Everson's here, or Dr. Everson's here, just to talk about the contracts that you'll see on there, and maybe you just want like a little preview of that process. And I know Dr. Everson would be happy to just like briefly cover what that looks like if the board's open to it.
I was going to actually request that they come off so we.
So
can
we
go a
may
little
as
bit
well
more.
just address it right up front.
So why don't we hear about those, and then we can look at the rest of the, moving the, yep.
So these are contracts put together over every 5 years, I believe, and Dr. Everson worked very closely with the committees this year to put together model contracts, and I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Everson.
Yes, thank you. So we follow a model contract from the Wisconsin Charter School Association. So most of what you're looking at is language that the Charter Association puts together. And then every 5 years, I have the opportunity to work with each governance board just to add a little bit of their own language and a little bit of their own preference to that model contract. So each one that you look at tonight should resemble each other for the most part. You may see small nuances to each contract. And a big thank you to Laura. She helped make sure we had another set of eyes on each contract just to make sure that the details were in order. We have several benchmarks according to the state of Wisconsin that we must meet. So sometimes questions come up about what does it actually mean to be an instrument of the district. So there's a little bit of negotiation that might go on for example, if a charter school wanted something special to brand their school that had a cost to it. Of course, you are the authorizer and you have final authority on that language. So I might operate as a negotiator in that situation to help you understand what the Charter Governance Board is asking for. But in our situation, our charter contracts, our charter schools are instruments of the district. So we partner together to make sure that these contracts are living documents that reflect reality for the next 5 years.
Can you,
Yes.
for board members that aren't familiar with how the charter schools work, can you talk a little bit about the governing board? And can you also give us a little bit of a summary of changes that are in these contracts that are different than what they were previously?
Yes, so let's see, in terms of changes, very little. You might see different names, you might see different language that has evolved over the last 5 years to describe, say, the teaching and learning or assessments that we might be using. But by and large, the contracts, I think, read relatively the same as they did 5 years ago. The governance board for a charter school is one of the main ingredients that makes a charter school a school as compared to a program within a school. So, for example, years ago, La Crosse was considered a charter school. However, we did not have an active governance board at the time. So we adjusted the language to La Crosse reflecting as a program as compared to a charter school. So unless an active governance board is meeting approximately once a month throughout the academic school year, we would not have a binding contract as a charter school.
Who serves on that board?
The governance boards for each charter contract. The governance boards are reflective often of a parent group, maybe a community member that has interest in a particular learning model. So for example, Polytechnic is thought of as a project-based learning school. That's the model of teaching and learning and assessment that occurs there. And so sometimes we'll have community members that have a vested interest in that over time. Sometimes it also involves community partners, but it can be a mixture.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do they each have a separate process for selecting their board of governors?
They could, but I think often it's who volunteers, and we rarely have too many that we have to turn someone away. So there would be, obviously, a teacher is not they can participate in the board, but we have kind of a ratio that it must include parents of the school, not necessarily, it can't be all teachers or educators in the district.
My kids went to SOTA, and I heard from some SOTA parents some concerns about the charter being written to change the schedule, so they wouldn't have the Wednesday half-days anymore. I looked at the language in there, and I didn't see anything specifically calling to that, but I did see some language that allowed for them to make suggested changes to the schedule, so long as it didn't cause a change to the budget or something. Can you talk about that component?
Sure. So sometimes the charter contract is intended to be flexible because it should be able to reflect current reality for 5 years. So occasionally we might have a preference that would be active for a school year in terms of a schedule, maybe even how we offer courses during a school day or throughout the week. That might work from 1 year at a time, but we're careful not to write such specificity into a charter contract that we're held accountable to something that we might not be able to follow through with on a 5-year term.
And if there's district financial obligations that the charter governance board creates for the school district, they would be obligated to pay for them themselves if the school district could not reasonably meet them. So let's say that they decided to run from noon until 7 o'clock at night. We don't have busing that runs from noon to 7 o'clock at night, and so they would, if they wanted busing, we would say like, we can't do that. You can do this if you want, but we're not going to be able to contribute to your busing situation. And so they would have to pay for that busing themselves by fundraising or some other means. And so that's the one rub in here is like sometimes how they want to operate might create a financial obligation or an inconvenience to the school district that it cannot meet. And so, in some of these cases, we've left that stuff out, so that we can be flexible over time to align with the school district. And in some cases, the charter boards decide, well, we don't want to be responsible for that. And so we're going to leave that decision to the school district and accept whatever they do.
Mr. Bagneski?
Does this also go around in terms of how many guidance counselors they have, or a social worker, or how they schedule classes for the next year, and that included, or?
The contract itself spells out some guidance on ratios, but it wouldn't specify how many. And in most of the time, that is built on our enrollment guidelines, the ratio that the school district, we want it reflective of the school district. So in other words, if we have one school counselor to 250 students, that's relatively what we would do with charter school as well.
Generally, the charter schools provide like a flavor of education or an educational delivery model, and we're still trying to provide approximately the same experience for students that they would get at a traditional school. If you're at Polytechnic, it might be harder to access some traditional courses, but you're giving that up because you get project-based learning out of it. But they still have access to school counselors, social workers, all the other supports that we would be able to provide any school.
When we were at Polytech for the linkage with the students, there was some concern about not having access to, and that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, the challenge may be that, if you have 100 kids in your school and our ratio is typically 1 to 250, you might not have a school counselor there all day, every day, because that would necessitate about a 0.4 FTE. And so there would absolutely be counseling services available, but that person might not physically be on site all day, every day. And that's just a challenge with smaller schools. You start to lose that capability.
And just so we have the environmental school at Summit, that's different than these charter schools. And I think you said that early on, that this is different than the programs.
Yes, so I think with Summit, it's a program. It's how they brand their elementary, but not necessarily a charter school.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the items on the superintendent's consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Sprague, seconded by Mr. Manka, to approve the items on the superintendent's consent agenda. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We now move on to the board consent agenda. The consent agenda is used as a mechanism by the board to deal with routine business that must come before the body. Are there any items that members want to remove from the board consent agenda? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the items on the board consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Sprague, seconded by Ms. Berkedal. We gotta get you in the minutes, yeah.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, I've gotta make one last mark on the.
Yeah.
So we have a motion made by Dr. Sprague, seconded by Ms. Berkedal, for the items on the board consent agenda as presented. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. We now move on to matters reserved for board action. We start with Operation Expectation Monitoring Report, OE1, Global Operations Expectations.
That is mine. So OE1, Global Operational Expectations, is the superintendent shall not cause, allow, or fail to take reasonable measures to prevent any practice, activity, decision, or organizational condition that is unlawful, unethical, unsafe, disrespectful, imprudent, in violation of board policy, or endangers the district's public image or credibility. This is a relatively short OE and basically lists all the ways that we are in compliance. The indicators go on to state that we are compliant with 100% of state, federal, and DPI laws and regulations. We are not in any significant violation or non-compliance with any of the board's policies. There have been no legal charges or formal regulatory complaints against the district. No written complaints against the superintendent. district employees are terminated and have been due to unethical, illegal, or unprofessional conduct. And the district meets expectations for indicator OE 1215, safety reviews conducted in the school district. That is the policy. We've got a nice cover sheet there that kind of highlights the big things that you might want to take away from that, and happy to take any questions that folks have.
Nice cover sheet.
Kudos to Laura. She's our artist in residence for our cover sheets.
Nice job, Laura.
Are there any questions? Comments? Otherwise, we'd be looking for a motion.
Okay. In regard to the monitoring report for policy OE1, global operational expectation, and with respect to the provisions of policy B, SR5, superintendent accountability, the Board of Education concludes that the superintendent and district are in compliance.
Seconded.
These are long.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I didn't wear my glasses, which was a mistake.
We have a motion by Ms. Berkedal, seconded by Dr. Sprague. Any question, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Brings us to the linkage summaries, and we have the Central High School student linkage and the Logan student linkage this time. The Polytechnic will be next time, and since Mr. Olson is excused this evening, that would be good timing. Would anyone who attended those like to bring up any particular points? I didn't bring my notes along, so I apologize.
I'll say something.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
I guess, you know, the biggest thing, and we go back to this all the time, is the standardized grading. Students, for the most part, are still struggling with it from, you know, the kids that spoke at both Central and Logan. I'm not giving up on it, but, I mean, we're continuously hearing about it, so it's really my only comment.
I think I'd like to second that. I think there should be a bigger focus for us moving on for next year is, I mean, I'm not really convinced get rid of it completely. We're going on a transitional phase, but I think there are some things like making it more accessible for students to know where they're at, or making it more easier for teachers to grade that we should be looking at here. I believe we should be asking more students about this in the future as well, just get a bigger picture from them, because ultimately this impacts them the most. And when we're over here asking these questions right here, I just don't see it's helping the students. It's not exactly making them better for college yet, and I want to have a good discussion perhaps by September, see if there's any other way that administration or the board can do to make this better for our students right there, because they deserve it the most.
Well, I think one of the things is, one of the teachers there, I think it was Central High School, one of their staff, brought her students' report card. And if you can just visualize this, if there were 4 expectations during that particular course, goals that they were to meet, and then they were graded on each one of those, that might come up to 12 different grades if there were 3 on each. And it was 3 pages of printout of what the student was doing in that particular class, and it was really cumbersome to read. So if somehow that could be condensed, and I thought at the state convention we went to in Milwaukee, I thought this group came up with this program called Otis, and I think it was Wilmot down by Milwaukee that had it. And then I had talked to Jeff about this, and I thought there was some conversation about bringing that cadre of teachers to La Crosse for some staff development, so they would just exchange conversations as far as this is how it's working there, and most people in Wilmot School District are pretty happy with it. Because right now, the question really becomes, you know, like when you get a proficient in one class or maybe meeting expectations in another class, what is that? And everybody wants to go back to that traditional A, B, C, D. And is that a C? Well, for some teachers, meeting expectations is a C. For another person, that may not be a C. That might be some other grade. So there has to be some linear definitions of what we expect so that it's consistently defined across the district, or at least within one high school. And so that was some of the complaints, but I didn't see anybody was really digging their heels in and saying, no, we're not doing this. The question was, how can we make it so that parents and students have a better understanding of it than they presently do?
Yeah, at Central, we heard the students say about, well, first of all, they said there's some improvement. They said, one of the things we heard last year when we did the linkages with students was that there were, because we do this, the linkages in the spring, we had students talk about missed opportunities because there was schoolwork that wasn't required. It didn't affect your grade, so they didn't do it, and they felt that there was missed learning opportunities with that. It seems that that's been corrected, that there's now, those assignments are now being part of the grade. At Logan, the students said hardly anybody likes it. And we are a coherent governance body, and I certainly don't know enough to say standards-based grading is the right methodology or not. Maybe some of you who work in education could, but I think our job, and maybe one of the things we wanted to look at in the future is, I don't know which OE it is, might be learning environment, but I'm not sure which one, about what are our goals, and I think I've heard some goals here about having a grading system that students and parents can readily know how students are doing, or things like that, and that might help staff understand the areas where we really need to see the improvement. That would be just my offhand comment from that linkage. And we don't want to get too deep into this. I think we just want to talk about the linkage in general, but that would be my suggestion.
Just throw out there that I'm excited that this spring our teachers and principals were able to get together to talk about processes for improvement for this next year, standardized grading scales, a number of those things. And so I'm excited for what that will look like over the summer and for next year. Throughout this process, our teachers have been a part of developing the solutions for it. And so along the way, we have sometimes chosen a strategy that didn't turn out to be maybe the one we all liked when it was actually executed. And so this is a bit of growing and learning as we move forward. And so I think we're pretty close to honing in on solutions that will satisfy, I think, the brevity of the report card, clarity of grading across classrooms. We've always had these same issues in terms of like what it meant for a grade. You know, what does a C mean in this classroom versus another one? What does a C even mean? You know, so the arbitrariness has always been there. We're trying to do better in terms of creating clarity. There's been some misses along the way, but I think our teachers are heavily involved in what this process looks like, working closely with our principals to develop solutions. And so what we hear from the linkages does not go unnoticed. What our students are telling us does not go unnoticed. And I am excited for what will come next in this next iteration.
And the second point that was brought up is there was some misunderstanding or understanding that there are no finals at high schools.
I'm not exactly sure how finals work at our high schools. Personally, I don't love finals, but some people do.
Their comment was that,
Yeah, so, I mean, this year, so in the past, we've had a finals week at the end of semester where the schedule was different. Like, you would have, it would be like a, kind of like a 3-day week. You'd have like one day off, and then the other day would just be like a regular school day. That would be like that Monday. So you'd have periods 1, 2, and 3, and all your classes would be like an hour and a half long. And that would be your entire day, and you get out at like 1, and then it would be 4, 5, 6 the next day, and then 7 and 8. And they did not do that this year, so I think the way it worked this year, at Central at least, was that like teachers had the option to offer like a final like semester assignment or exam or something of that nature, but class schedule would not change during that week. So you'd still go to classes as usual, and that's what people meant when they said there weren't finals this week. So,
That class schedule was very kind to students and teachers, but did not allow us to meet our hours requirement under state law, and so we needed to make some modifications to that in order to be compliant, so.
There was just a concern that students wouldn't learn at the university or college level what a final was. And that's usually an extended period of time. And that, they thought this was a training ground for that. And now without that there, would students therefore not do as well in their college course? That was the sentiment of some of the
Sure.
instructors.
Not all your college courses will have finals.
Yeah.
Mr. Newmeister.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that we're working with staff and teachers on this. My concern is obviously for the students because it affects them the most. And what I've heard, the feedback is that while they're trying to get into their dream college, the standardized testing is difficult at best because it really doesn't rank them where they want to be ranked. If you're a star student and want, all A's and the 4.0 and you want to be ranked the highest in your class or even in the state, and get into a big college, that's my concern because it doesn't, it levels the playing field, which I understand, but it doesn't, at least what I'm told, it doesn't help them excel where they're noticed, and that's something that concerns me a little bit. While I understand that we do adjust the best we can, I'm just a little concerned for the students, that really want to excel even further than most.
Are you talking about weighted grades?
Yes.
I don't think the district has had those since 1996.
No, but I understand it, but that's what I'm just told, that they're not able to excel.
And college
to win.
admissions will adjust for them.
Right.
They'll say, oh, that's from a weighted,
We
isn't
do,
that right?
working in college admissions, we do grade recalculation based on weighted GPAs and everything every year. And also are practiced in looking at a variety of different types of transcripts. There's like very little standardization across high school transcripts, which is a constant headache. But thinking about homeschool transcripts, charter schools that do things differently, standards-based grading is getting more and more and more common. It does not disadvantage students at the point of admission. And the concern for looking for opportunities to differentiate oneself, especially for those highly selective universities and institutions, absolutely there are opportunities for that. And the overall academic performance typically reflected in a traditional GPA factors in quite a lot, but colleges and universities are used to seeing a variety of different ways of students.
I think to Mr.
presenting
Newmeister's
themselves.
point, we don't want students to feel like they're disadvantaged by any means, even in sentiment, even if it doesn't happen in reality, and so that's definitely a concern that we share.
We did actually have one student say they wanted weighted grades at one of the linkages.
Yes.
Mr. Manka.
Oh, you caught me off my feet there. That's all right. I'll move on to something positive here. That one thing I really did enjoy talking to students, and this was especially apparent with Logan High School, is that they really did love their community they attached. They really did feel connected with their faculty and the staff there too. And last meeting we talked about how the principal for Logan is retiring, and the students seemed almost kind of regretful that he was leaving them. That just shows that you have a very strong culture there, and I just want to give a highlight to that too, and also just again I think give a big thank you to Wally last meeting, but Genevico. That's a name I can't pronounce. Genevico. But I just want to give a big thank you to Genevico and just I'll show a great appreciation for him because I could really tell that especially Logan High School had a very strong connection with their school there, and that's something that I found exceptional and worthy to bring up about this linkage, that you can see it on it, but you don't exactly see the mood of actually being inside there hearing it from them. It was very palpable.
Yeah, looking at what makes you proud to be a student here, I saw great extracurricular activities, great classes and subjects available, supportive environment. People mentioned staff that they enjoyed. You don't always hear that, and it shows the great opportunities that are available here in La Crosse, better than anywhere else in our region, and the great staff that we have available to support them.
And you also don't hear feel like a family. That's something that really is a big plus for a lot of other
One of the things I noticed that we didn't hear in these linkages that we heard a lot about last year were bathrooms. And I don't know what changed, but kudos to all involved for addressing the bathroom situation. I mean, there's still some students who don't like some of the bathrooms, and I believe it was at Central, they talked about a particular bathroom, although one student said, I just don't go there when there's a lot of students in there. But whatever's happened has changed, and I just want to say thank you for that, because that was very concerning to a lot. And the students that come to these linkages are typically pretty engaged students. And so for them to take their time to come in and talk to us and tell us what their concern was last year, and for us to not hear it this year, says something really good about what's happening. Anything else on the linkage?
I did have a question about the online bathroom passes comment.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
We're
so
going down a rabbit hole.
that
The
I
situation.
believe was
Thank you
a Central specific thing that they were trying at Central, where you would use your school iPad. You would go to ClassLink, which is an app we use kind of like to get into other apps. It's like self-service kind of. So you get into like a pass app from there, and you can make a pass online, like with your iPad. Or basically, it's just like you put in, you log in with like your school email, then you would put in like where you're going, like what you're going from, like which teacher, like where you're going, and like just like bathroom, whatever. And then you have to finish up the pass, and then your teacher has to approve before you can go. And it's just like, I think kind of like the main problems people had is like, one was getting into the school in the morning. Like if you are late, you have to go to a kiosk in the office to sign in order to go to your like class in the morning, and that would take people like 20 minutes. Like, so they would be spending half of their first hour just waiting in this line.
Some of the students talked about just coming a little bit later because they're
Yeah,
gonna miss the whole
I think that
class
was
anyway.
me. That was because I said I like overslept one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna come at like 9 so I can go to my second hour.
That feels like an area where a high-tech solution is not the
Yeah,
answer
although
to,
I did-
may I please go to the bathroom?
Well, and the
Yeah.
bathroom one was that if students say they have to go, but it says there's too many students signed up to go in the bathroom, then they don't let you go. And like, if you have to go to the bathroom, if you have to go to the bathroom, I mean, it seemed off.
Yeah, I had a time where I spent more time trying to make a pass than I would have spent in the bathroom. So, yeah.
I like the old system where Mr. Check Eye strapped on his running shoes and would chase me down the hallway. That was-
Yeah, although I would like to say I was like late once this past week because I had to, after receiving my like fourth quarter parking pass, I had to repark my car, and I was late because of that, and I did not see a massive line, so I don't know if they changed something or what, but yeah.
Things are improving there. Talk to any principal, an enduring problem for all of time has been the kids that go out on pass and meet each other in the bathroom, or get lost and take a long time, or maybe they go on a pass twice an hour, every hour for all of time. As an example of a small statistic, there was a student at Central 2 weeks ago who was out on legitimate passes for 7 hours in a week. When they were able to look at the data, they'd identified that as a potential issue. And in the second week, he was only out on passes for 4 hours in the week. So instead of missing 20% of school, he only missed 10% of school. And so those are examples of where this helps identify frequent flyers, challenges. You can indicate that 2 kids can't be out on pass at the same time, so you present potential disruptions, fights, conflicts, sales, transactions. And so the result is a much safer and more effective school. It does come at a cost to kids that don't need that sort of support. And so when I talked to the student senate at Central last week, it's like, this pass app is not intended for the people in this room, it's intended for your friends, and you know who they are. And they're like, yeah, I know. And so we want to minimize the disruption to all of our students while ensuring that the 10% that need the support get it. And so this is the latest iteration, and I hope that the bugs get worked out and it works better and better. I know the administration at Central is over the moon about how it has helped them manage the hallways, bathrooms, and challenges in the building. So,
That makes sense.
Any other linkage comments? Otherwise, I look for a motion to approve the linkage summaries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the linkage summaries as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Manka, seconded by Mr. Alberts to approve the linkage summaries. Any other discussion?
Just curious, I don't think I've seen it as an individual action item in the past.
I think that came from workshop.
One of the past discussions, we wanted just to have more of the opportunity to unpack them.
And I think, yeah. I'll leave it at that. That was just a good way to say it. Okay, any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. We will now move to communications from student representatives, and I'm going to start with Logan High School for a change. Ms. Nelson. And Mr. Oliver is excused this evening from Polytech.
Yeah, so the big thing at school lately has been spring sports, because everybody likes spring sports. So track, they had a successful meet in Minneapolis. I think a lot of people had a good time there. There was also just one in River Falls on Friday also, which was good. This girls' soccer team had their first game of the season, which they won, which is a good way to start. We just had iFeed at Logan on Saturday. I had to leave partway through because there was also a jazz convention thing in Winona the same day, but by the time I had left, iFeed 40,000 meals had already been packed to send to Honduras. So, and that was only there was 3 packing teams, and we were halfway through the second one at that time, so it was going pretty good there. Yeah, and then the jazz band had that festival, so we performed. Central was there as well. Don't want to steal your thunder, but yeah. Performed and had a clinic, and then there was a master class and a concert later that night, so it was a good time. Convocation's gonna be this weekend, gonna get to award all the scholarships, and orchestra will be playing there, and then everybody's doing senior assassin at school, which is, I'm sure, gonna be a good time. I'm not doing it because I think
That probably bears some explanation.
Yeah.
Do you guys is that a thing that everybody knows about? Oh.
We're old.
It's not really at Central, but I've heard of it, so I know
Yeah.
what it is.
It's just, you can't do it at school, but you get a team with 3 of your friends, and then you try and shoot each other with water guns to get each other out. And whoever
All right, the ending statement
survives.
there.
Yeah,
Thanks.
water guns.
I believe I think they were gonna feed 80,000, wasn't that their goal,
Yeah,
I believe?
80,000 was the
Which is
goal.
quite remarkable, isn't it? I
Yeah.
know that a lot of people worked very hard on it, it was impressive to really see that.
Yeah,
And the baseball team's also really good this year.
yes, I've been seeing stuff about that as
Spring
well.
sports, you freeze, you're hot, you freeze. It's always fun, spring.
Yeah, a bunch of things have already been canceled and rescheduled, so that's how it goes. But, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for us, I would say sports-wise, we're kind of dead right now. There hasn't been a ton of stuff in the announcements, and we're kind of all just kind of working hard, getting ready for conference and state and stuff in May. Although I do know track has a meet next Tuesday, so that's pretty cool. Music-wise, Lacrosse Confluence, which is both Central and Logan, is performing at Logan this Thursday during Logan Homeroom. And then we also have State Solo Ensemble coming up at the end of the month. And then finally, we have Student Senate doing some events this month. So they're doing a poetry contest, which any student can submit online until April 30th, I think is the deadline, and then Senate would vote on the poems they like the most. And then they're also hosting an egg hunt on the 16th. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ms. Berkedahl, Lacrosse Public Education Foundation update.
Today is the deadline for spring grants, and I believe about 27 were submitted by different teachers across the district. And that's about it.
Great.
Do you know, is that more or less than last year?
I think it's about, I asked her if that was more, and she said not really.
It's usually at 30 to 35, depending on the year, so it's right in the ballpark.
For my announcements, there's a coherent governance professional development opportunity in DeForest on April 30th. I plan to attend, so if anyone wants to carpool or anything, let me know. There's a linkage with the LEA on April 16th at 4:10 on French Island at the crew offices. Make sure you let Laura know if you can attend that. We always like to make sure we have good representation. On April 17th, from 6 to 8, in Hogan Room 209 is the new board member orientation. And we will have one brand new and one kind of new board member, and then one very experienced board member, so we'll have that. And all of us are welcome to that, so please consider coming to that to welcome the new board members. The WASB new school board member gathering is April 22nd from 7 to 9 at CISA 4 in West Salem. And our, make sure you put on your calendars, our board reorganization meeting is April 28th at 6 p.m. That's the third meeting in April. So April, like October, has 3 meetings, so make sure you have that on your calendar. I'd also like to add a couple quick things. Art selections, a lot of the arts pieces are up at the different places where they have the art shows, so make sure you go, make sure you select your items and communicate that. The sooner we can let those students and their families know, the more likely they are to attend our evening when we recognize them, and that's a wonderful evening, so we love to see those students and those families here. I'd like to congratulate you on getting reelected, so thank you for staying on our board. But with people coming, there's people going, and we this is Ms. Berkedal's last meeting. And so we have some parting gifts. But I just really want to thank you for your 3 years of service. I'm sure other board members will chime in as well. When I came back to the board table, even though I'd been on the board before, getting back on the computer was different, and finding where things are and what they're called are different. And I sat next to you, and I appreciated your kindness to kind of show me how to find things and being patient with me. But I also really have appreciated your connection with the community and how you've brought that to the table. You're so well connected to the community. You ask really good questions at this table. You bring the voice of so many people in the community who aren't at this table here for us to consider as we work through really difficult issues. Your passion around some difficult issues, particularly around the elementary discussions, I've always appreciated that, and your focus on what's best for the kids and the families and the staff all together as a team really showed through. So we will miss your voice at the table. I've left the board and came back, so that's always an option, just throwing that out there. Why be a quitter when you can always come back? So we let you hand those over there. But if other board members have anything they'd like to add to recognizing Ms. Berkedal.
Thanks, everybody.
Anybody else want to add anything? Oh, sorry, Jim, he's got his hand in the air.
I have a couple of questions in regard to, this is a CISA 4 meeting. They've gone self-funded as far as their health is concerned, health insurance. Has the district ever considered going self-funded in terms of its health insurance?
We definitely consider it every single year. When the finances look good, we'll definitely jump at the opportunity. Right now, they don't look good.
I just want to thank Katie as well. While we always don't agree as a board on everything, I think you've really done a wonderful job of treating everyone with respect, and we may have difference of opinions from time to time, not always, which is always good, but I really do appreciate the efforts you've given and the kindness you've always shown, me personally and everyone else that's been around you, and you will be sadly and missed here, because I really think that you're obviously an even-tempered person that treats even difficult situations with a lot of class, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome, even from a North Sider, I see that.
You know, it's interesting coming on to the school board, and I think every one of us was either endorsed by the Republicans or the Democrats, and it's kind of a weird way to come into a board that is not political
Yes,
at all. But to come in with like preconceived notions of what people stand for, and to notice things at the beginning, how people tend to vote with their side, and how we all kind of know, I mean, I've noticed that notion dissipate as we dive into the work. And we're all here for the same reason. Every single one of us cares deeply about the district and about education and staff and teachers. And as a board member, I've felt incredibly well supported by administration and appreciate the responsiveness to get answers to questions and to change things up if we need that. And I appreciate you all for showing up and being here. This is not an easy job. And I was just thinking, like, man, we just got through the right sizing of the district. It might be kind of easy moving forward, but now we have to figure out what the whole Department of Education stuff is going to do to our budget and what that will mean for everybody sitting at this table and what sort of things you're going to have to wrestle with moving forward and everything else that, you know, seems to bubble up from time to time. But I tell everyone, I think people have these ideas that this is a heated job and we're constantly getting negative emails, and I've been really impressed by our community and the way they show up to advocate for what they want. And I've been really impressed with you all, and it's been great to work together. And I tell everybody, like, this is a great board. Everybody is here for the right reasons, and I've enjoyed working with all of you. So thank you.
Dr. Sprague, you were going to say something.
Oh, no.
I just
Dr.
want to
Garcia.
reiterate what a joy it has been to work with you, and how much I've learned listening to you, to your thoughtful questions, to your responsiveness to the community. And you're right, like, we've got enough problems to solve without fighting each other. You get on the board and you're like, oh, we don't have time to argue about that.
Yeah.
We actually have to solve problems. So, and I just admire so much the way you go about that, the way you go about building those bridges and making your opinion known. I think it's beautiful.
Thanks,
You're
Mary.
beautiful.
Aw.
And your voice is going to be missed.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, and don't be a stranger.
I'll be back on, I think it's early May when we do the art stuff. I picked out my art today, actually.
Great, thank you.
We're starting closed session. Can't leave freely just yet. We're starting closed session.
Yeah, my daughter was like, what, you have to go to that? I'm like, yeah.
Well, are they gonna do fire yet?
All right, I'll turn it over to Dr. Engel.
National Library Week, in honor of our HPL librarians, is April 6th through 12th, so we're excited to celebrate that. Spring break is April 18th through 21st, and coming up is National Environmental Education Week, and we've got lots of schools that celebrate that as an opportunity to protect the beautiful La Crosse area that we have. The only other things I would offer up as announcements are our district visioning steering committee has put together some draft questions for a survey. It ranges from kind of very multiple choice to open-ended, from kind of concrete to conceptual, and that's an intentional arrangement of questions. And so I encourage you to take a look at that tonight or tomorrow if you get a chance. Our goal is to have those approved and sent off to the printer, so to speak, tomorrow, so that we can get postcards out to every household so that people can fill out that survey, so we can get good information. And Laura is helping us schedule focus groups with community groups. We've got, I think, 30-some different groups that we're trying to find time to meet with over the next 2 months, and excited to get as much information as possible. Only 30 in 2 months, yep. We'll see, my goal is 20 groups and 200 people with focus groups. I think we'll be able to achieve that, if not better. So that's exciting too. More information to come there. Check out your email, check out the survey if you get a chance. The committee has been great. Ms. Sukla has been our board rep on that, and I've really appreciated her context and guidance.
Board debriefing. Mr. Bagneski, you're up tonight. Sorry.
I didn't see my name on the list.
Do you want to, why don't you take next time, because I'm on the agenda for next time and I'll be in Miami. So you can take next time, I'll do it now.
Sweet, thank you.
Everyone did a great job. The end.
Well, I don't know if anybody has anything to top that.
That was the best one yet.
Well done.
My mic is super hot tonight.
So the La Crosse Board of Education will consider a motion to move into closed session on Monday, April 7th, 2025, following the Board of Education meeting in room 209 pursuant to Wisconsin statute paren 19.85 paren 1(7), for the purpose of considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, where paragraph B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely to have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data involved in such problems or investigations. To wit, consider administration's recommendation to issue the conditional enrollment order. Is there a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So
Yep.
moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Mr. Bagneski, seconded by Ms. Berkedahl. A roll call vote will be taken.
Mr. Alberts?
Aye.
Mr. Vigneski?
Aye.
Ms. Berkdahl?
Aye.
Dr. Garcia?
Aye.
Mr. Manka?
Aye.
Mr. Newmeister?
Aye.
Dr. Sprague?
Aye.
Ms. Sukla?
Aye.
That's a heck of a paragraph.
Okay,
I know.
this meeting is then adjourned.
Meet up in 209.